No, no, just keep on holding. Hold on.
Hey guys, welcome back to Across the Case. My name is Dylan Dove. Today's episode is going to be awesome. It's a little different than the normal episodes that we've done so far, but it is a story about growth, tough decisions, family, rebuilding, something stronger after kind of taking a step back. Today I have the Basch Brothers to talk over their family business, how they expanded, downsized, and found kind of some clarity in that process, and kind of about what actually matters. So Don, Danny, Dustin, thanks so much for joining me. How you guys doing?
Good. Appreciate you having us.
Pleasure being on.
Yeah, thank you so much.
No, grateful to have you guys on here. I had the chance to meet the Basch Brothers here. What was it, in maybe March in Orlando? We were down at a trade show together and got to spend some time together. And these guys are definitely the life of the party anywhere we were at. And so they're a great time and have an incredible business. And so if you don't know them, you're going to get to know them a little bit now. But let's jump right in. What was, because you guys grew up in the industry and the business. You guys, I believe Don Basch Jewelers has been around for about 50 years.
Go ahead.
Is that right?
Yeah, we've been in business 46 years
Okay.
in total. Mom and Dad started out of the basement of the house. Dad came home one day and just decided to go into basically bench repair work, and turned the TV into his first bench, and started selling himself to what it grew to about 100 stores. So they would take care of all of the repairs, custom setting, sizing, chains, rings, the whole gamut, and grew the business right from there. We ended up opening up our own first storefront roughly about 1986-ish, and knock on wood, haven't turned back since.
There you go. What was it like growing up in like the family business? Is it something like, since you guys were kids, you're like, this is what I'm going to do? What was that like for you guys?
So all of the original, everything was done out of the house.
Yeah.
So we would change three houses because family was growing by the time they had 5 of us in total, on top of the fact at one point, I think at the largest, there were 16 bench people.
Yeah.
So that's when they finally decided, when Donnie says storefront in 86, it was out of the basement. It was out of a basement door of an office building. So it wasn't even really storefront.
Storefront, I mean, like 200 square feet.
The real like retail storefront that you would call, there was like 4 cases in that building. It was almost all shop. The real actual like retail would be in like mid 90s, I believe, is when you could actually say that there was like a front. And that's when they had 15, 20 cases. They were an actual retail shopping center. But we still did probably 50 stores worth of work, and that just kind of dwindled its way down as we grew on the other side, to the point where now we don't do anything but our own work, and who walks through the door when it comes to a repair side of things. But
That's awesome.
doing it when it's in your house, like your parents put you
You grew up in it.
We have stuff to do, you take your whoopings, because we were that generation. We got whooped. There was no timeout.
I remember one night they were working late. It was Christmas time, and at that point, you're just working around the clock to deliver to everybody. And we were playing tag, and I pushed him off the banister of the steps, and he literally caught his leg on the chair. And what we found out in a couple of days, broke his ankle. Well, my mom was still upset that we were out of bed, that she made him walk on it for 2 days before she believed him that it was really broke.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, growing up around it and all that good stuff.
You were in it and just screwed around with it.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to come to the business right away either. We had to go out and do other jobs and do other things before we could, come into the business also.
How did that conversation go? Was that like was it your dad, your parents that said like, hey, you're not stepping right in, like go figure something else out for a while? Like what would that look like?
Well, that goes all the way back to when we were, as soon as Donnie, we were about 13, 14,
Yeah.
and my parents they were nice enough. They bought a trailer, they bought us a lawnmower, and they bought us a weed whacker. But that was about as nice as they were. Then they said, go figure out how to make a living. So we actually had like a high school landscaping business. And, you know, then next, like, so then
We had about 20 accounts or more.
and then it would just kind of trickle down from Donnie, me, to Dennis, Dustin, and it went down. So we ran that, and that's how our parents didn't pay for it. We had to pay for our stuff. So we paid for our cars, insurance, the whole gamut of stuff. So that it really started there. But then past that, it was once you had that, then they wanted you to at least sample some other things. Because Donnie was the first one to come in, and he came in the fastest.
Yeah. I
Okay.
did work on circuit boards for a little while, and then we used to have like Christmas parties every year. We'd always be there for that. You know, we'd dress up in tuxes and come in for the Christmas event, and you know, then I started hanging around a little longer, and next thing I know, I'm practically full time. So it just kind of that's how I kind of transitioned in, and I've been here
Okay.
about 7 years.
7 years. Gotcha. So it's kind of funny. My dad actually, we don't have a family business, but when I turned 15, I was a spoiled kid, and he woke me up early, and he's like, hey, let's go get you a present. I thought I was going to get a dirt bike. He took me to Home Depot. I got a 32-foot extension ladder, a bucket, a squeegee, and a brush. He's like, you're going to start a window cleaning business today. And yeah. And I did it for like 8 years and sold it. And it was the best thing that's ever happened because I really learned how to just freaking put my head down and work, right? And so
Yeah.
those life lessons, I think that's probably pivotal to what you guys have been able to do with the business since then. When did it go from like, oh, it's the family store to like, this is our responsibility now?
Well, I would say it's probably been a good 8-10 years now where, when mom was still here, we had, mom and dad kind of looked and said, we'd like to, hand more stuff off. So from there, we handed marketing and inventory and sales. And, from there on, it was more run it past them. And then it was kind of, hey, this is your gig. This is your budget. Here you go. So.
Okay. Very cool. So handed it off to you in that sense. And then when they did that, was that about the time, because you guys actually are down into one beautiful, beautiful storefront now, but you guys have expanded into, I think it was up to 3 different locations at one point. Is that kind of that time frame when that was?
It was that was when we had all 3. So
Okay.
it was in 2009 we moved our location of our main store, and then our growth happened really fast. By 10, we then bought a property and opened another store 30 minutes away, and by the end of 11, we then had a third, I think.
So in 3 years, you opened up 2 additional locations.
Boom, boom, boom. And then we did that until right around that 16, 17 mark. No,
No, it's COVID.
okay, I lied. I'm off about 4 years because that's when it happened. So we got the third store in 17. So it was like 13, 15, 17, roughly by the time you get build outs and everything else.
What
but
drove the decision at that time to expand into multiple? I think there's a lot of stores out there that probably are at a position where they feel like, hey, maybe we could expand. We're growing. I know there's a few close friends I have that actually have stores that are thinking now they're opening their second. So what was it, that decision, or at what time did that success look like to make that decision?
Well, I mean, I think part of it was, our other brother was still in the business at that point. So, I mean, you're talking mom and dad, Donnie, Dan, our other brother Dennis, and then myself, and you're looking at how much volume you have to do to support that many families. So I think that definitely took a role in that. And
Yeah.
as Dennis transitioned out of the business, his wife also worked for us out in one of our locations. It kind of made us stop and look and say, hey, can we do the same amount of business out of one store and have less headaches? Less staffing, staffing problems, I should say, not less staff. I mean, we have about the same amount of staff now, but
Yeah.
less staffing issues, and do it all out of one door. So
Yeah. When did you start feeling maybe the cracks of that? Was that when Dennis transitioned out? Is that kind of what started causing a little bit of the?
it was you want to talk about true blessings. We bought the property right next to our main store in 2018, 19?
19. Yeah.
19. And then, so we had a plan that we slowly wanted to start pulling back. Well, our scheduled day because we wanted to clear our one property. I mean, this is all just the financings behind it. We owned the one store's property and building. So we wanted to clear that first to get ready for the massive bill and chunk that was going to happen with the store that we're currently in. And our last day scheduled was the Saturday right before the government shut everybody down on Tuesday.
Cool.
So someone was looking at us. Our scheduled day was Saturday. Ohio government shut us down on Tuesday. And by some way, we sold a 4-acre commercial property in September.
Wow.
So that all cleared, and then that's unfortunately when Mother had emergency open heart surgery, and then we lost her in January of 21. So that then slowed the build down here, because other things obviously had to be figured out with losing the matriarch and one of the founders. That was in 21, and because of COVID, our third store, 92% of our staff said we're not coming back. So that made it very easy just to close the door. We had a very easy lease to get out of, and that's what closed the other store. And the one person that was still willing to work makes the drive every day and still works for us. So.
Wow. Okay. So I mean, there was a lot of things that kind of piled up then to make that decision of let's downsize, right? By number of stores, not necessarily volume and the value we're going to deliver to the community. But wow. All right. I didn't realize there was all of those things that kind of compiled. That's pretty neat about when the government shut down everything, you guys were able to offload that property. That had to feel like y'all kind of hit a gold mine a little bit.
Somebody was looking out for us. So.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's talk a little bit, because I know we talked about the golf game down in Orlando a little bit, and there's obviously, I've got some in-laws that are brothers. I've never had like an actual brother, but as brothers, I know that there's some competition there. Was that like a hard decision to make? I want to get a little bit vulnerable here. I know you guys are all, some tough guys, but was that a tough decision, maybe like egotistically, to make to downsize again as far as number of stores?
I mean, I don't think it was that choice. I think you look at it from that perspective, and if that's how you take it and just put it in a bubble, sure, yeah, right. No one wants to close and downsize, but when you're looking at the end goal of our vision of our own freestanding store built the exact way we want it, it's like I guess you get a disease, you chop off the finger so you don't lose the body, right? So it's kind of you lick your wound, but the end goal is this big beautiful store that not a whole lot of people get to do, and we've been very fortunate to do that. So
and then just from like the finance side, because like he answered kind of from how he positioned, because all three of us are very different in what we do, but like even from the finance side, there's and I say this loosely because some people may get offended, but it's the truth. There's so many people in this industry that want to be like, ooh, I'm a $5 million store, or I'm a $10 million store. Well, if it doesn't hit the P&L, I don't care. I would rather be a $2 million, the most profitable $2 million store over a $10 million store. So that's really just the combination of it all. Like and that actually was a conversation that we had with our parents. We're like, look, just saying gross numbers is cool. Like that's the 8 banging chest thing. But if it's not actually translating into making money and growth, then who cares how much you do? All of us can sell jewelry at cost because you beat everybody else, right? But how do you sell it and add to the bottom line?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of brought that clarity then, as far as it goes. When it comes down to it, you were able to kind of find that clarity through downsizing or bringing that in. And then, I mean, Dustin, you kind of mentioned too, right? Like that external perception, maybe that people would view that as like, oh, well, they couldn't handle 3. That's not at all what it was, right? And the internal reality is like, this is what's going to be more profitable for us and the team and the family. And I think that's a tough decision to make, but I think it makes sense when you like really care about people. And that's something I think as well that I felt immediately when I was chatting with you guys, like you really care about all the people that work for you and that you guys work with in your community. So that's pretty cool. What what does business look like now versus before with that? Because you guys have learned obviously a lot of lessons through all of that. How does business look now compared to what it did before?
I think it's easier to have fun because we're all in one location.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I want to say there's definitely a bigger side of enjoyment. Now, sometimes, a shouting match or whatever, in person they could be a little more intense than over a phone if you're at a different location. But,
We built a conference room for a reason.
and we know the walls are not soundproof because there's sometimes we come out here and the staff's like, ooh, how'd that go? Who won? So I think it's a little more. For me, it definitely has more enjoyment, being in the one location.
We can move a lot faster also, with having everybody in one location. If something comes up where we need to make a decision on something, it can get done a lot quicker. It's a lot easier to game plan for the year. I mean, the mobility is just way easier.
Yeah.
And we've been blessed. It worked out. So, I mean, last year we were 20% bigger than we were having 3 stores.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
wow.
That's awesome.
We've just over doubled our volume in, 4 years?
We're on pace to be 300% bigger inside of a 6-year window.
Oh my gosh. Let's dive in on that just a little bit because I think that's something that people would also find some value in is understanding like downsizing, getting into one location. Obviously, you've got more focus there, but what other things have happened? Like, what are you focused on today to continue to drive and see that? I mean, that's a massive increase.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've just it's given us the opportunity to really get into the weeds of everything. Really look at the bottom line, really look at all the small things that add up to bigger gains. Forming a culture, looking at expenses.
Having a consistent brand, right? You're not off in too many avenues. You're from a marketing standpoint, you're grabbing something, you're doing that consistently, and then you're adding to rather than throwing a little here, throwing a little there, and then kind of getting lost.
And getting to the point where we can be the generation that's not like the previous generation, where we can actually be with our people, train our people, they can experience what we're doing, so they can take it over, so we can even focus harder on working on the business instead of in the business, which has kind of been the trend, what our goal's been over the last 2 years, but that's a 5-year plan for us, so we know we still have 3 more years of teaching, educating, working on that, so then the focus is nothing more than the business, instead of like I said, working on it instead of in it, but I mean, Dustin's focus is the advertising and the branding. Mine's just been all diving in the weeds of the numbers and inventory management. And our one girl does a great job. I mean, we have under 20% of aged inventory. So, over the last 5 years, that was our goal. And our new goal is by the end of this year, we want to be at 15%. I don't know that we can get it lower than that, but we're going to keep trying. There's goals for a reason, right? So,
Yeah.
And Donnie's been working with the sales staff, and like he said, the culture and the understanding, because we had to hire a lot, and we had to hire fast because of how fast we grew. So, there's some things that we're just going to iron out over this year, especially at the pace that we're proceeding to grow.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's incredible. Again, your guys' growth is insane. I remember chatting with you in Florida, and it was just like, I couldn't believe that you guys were able to essentially double and more your growth in one store versus multiple stores. So I think that's helpful to kind of take a look at that. All right, I want to get a little bit more personal now and talk about the brand, the Denise and Diamond brand. And so I don't want to give any of the context. I'd rather you guys give us the context, because this is something obviously really personal and for you guys, and grateful that you guys are willing to share with us. But I think it's amazing the stories and stuff that you shared with me out in Florida and stuff. And so if you don't mind, tell me a little bit about your mom and where all this kind of came into play.
Sure. Donnie, you want to start, and then I can give you more of a curtain.
So back a while ago, we used to have a brand in here that obviously I don't want to say any names, but a really great cut diamond. And we had this idea of adding facets to it, and we came up with a design where we added those facets and worked with a bunch of people on it, and it came to be our Denise Ann brand. We named it after Mom, and somebody that really had a huge start with us in our future of the business. She basically laid all the groundwork for us. I think every single one of us can go back and remember the lessons that she taught us to be able to do what we're doing, and we just felt that would be a wonderful tribute to to the person that made us who we are, for sure.
Yeah. So the brand has been alive. We started off originally as a Basch cut, and then we obviously changed the name to the Denise Ann Diamond.
But that's going to be
That and
15, 20 years.
yeah, it's got to be 15, 20 years. So it was well before we lost Mom. So she was a part of the brand. She encompassed the brand, right? She was the brand. To have the matriarch like that, start that brand, for people in the community to know who she was, to know that our business was about value, right? We're not the least expensive, we're not the most expensive, but we're the best value, and that's really what we strive to show. Currently, that the Denise Ann brand is luxury, but it's luxury with keeping in mind value. And that's what we try and portray in our ads and who we are as a brand, completely as Basch Jewelers. So, yeah, it's I don't know, it's still probably 60% of our business, I would say. So, a large portion of our business, and the best part about it from a store standpoint is no one else has it, right? It can't be shopped. It's only here. It's exclusive at Basch Jewelers. So we're in the Cleveland, Akron area of Ohio. There's a big jewelry headquarters here. You can't find it at any of those other stores. It's only available here. So it really sets us apart.
That's awesome. Dan, for you in particular, what did she represent to you in your growth and development as a person and in the business ultimately?
We sat in the same office for a while, and we're the same, we're the same person. So all the vendors that don't like the way I negotiate or could be a little rough around the edges, we'll call, that was my mother. She's definitely better at the other side of things, as far as a little communication. I wish I would have had a little more time to learn that other side, but I mean, I have been known to be called Denise too, so I mean that's how. But there was a lot of this also, because we were the same exact people. But when it comes down to this business, I mean, every avenue, she taught me everything. So I mean, I don't even know where to start. There's not enough minutes to explain the way she was able to teach, let go, and her subtle ways of educating. Even though I'm stubborn and couldn't be told what to do, she still found a way to make sure that it's settled in. So yeah, I don't know that there's words or enough time to try and figure out that question. She was everything. Like you heard me say it, and you heard Dustin say it. She was the matriarch. Like all the way through the community to our employees to the whole 9 yards. And what we're doing is just trying to make sure we do everything in our power to make her proud, and not lose anything that she laid the foundation. So that's our goal. So
She was very big on people first, whether it was the guests coming through our door, the people that have been with us for 20 years. We're here to run a business, but to enrich the life of everybody that comes through that door, and that's what she ingrained very deep into us.
That's awesome. How do customers respond to the story when they come in?
We've had customers come in that haven't been in, and all they do is look at Mom's mural, or we have a photo of her, a tribute to her. And we've had customers cry as soon as they walk in the door. they look over and see it. I mean, that's how deep it is. And they might have left town and now they're just coming back into town to see the store for the first time, since we're coming up on 3 years, and you know, they just can't have it. And you'll hear, oh, it's just so poor Denise. You know, she's still in people's minds today.
I'm out on the sales floor for a good majority of the time, and I can't tell you the amount of stories that, you know, the people come in and say, hey, you know, I remember when your mom did this, or I remember when your mom did that, and you know, and people come in and ask for stories on it, like, you know, that they want to understand, you know, about her and what we're about and what we're carrying on.
That's awesome. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for sharing that. That's awesome. Like, to see the impact that she's made on the community, on each of you guys. And I mean, I meet a lot of jewelers, but immediately, like the minute I met you guys, it was like there's just something about you as brothers that just like draws people to you. And you guys, yeah, you're just like addictive. Like, I want to be around the Basch Brothers, and I'm only imagining that's got to be how Denise was as well. So, and it obviously shows.
She also taught us you work hard, play hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my very first Vegas trip. She said, if you're gonna hoot with the Owls, you better be able to soar with the Eagles. So it was.
All right. Well,
you know,
hopefully at JCK we'll have time to hoot with the Owls as well as fly with the Eagles. But, no, that's awesome. Thank you guys so much for sharing that. That's amazing. Really, really cool. If anybody's listening, definitely take a look at donbaschjewelers.com and take a look at that line. It's pretty amazing. I probably should have tried to end on something like this, but I have a few more questions that I think people are going to want to hear from you guys. And this is one I'm really excited to talk about as well. But that's working with family. I've worked with family. I don't work with family anymore. So I'm really curious on y'all's perspective here. What's harder, business decisions or family dynamics?
I'm going to say business decisions, right? I mean, it's.
I mean, I hate to say it, but it's really easy for us because pretty much and he says it all the time, once we walk through that front door or back door, however you get into the building, personal is outside and this is all business inside. So
Yeah.
I think we do a very good job of, you know, keeping that separate. And, you know, obviously if something comes up, like, you know, family wise, we're there for each other for sure. But you know, we do pretty well on keeping it separate, and I think that is, you know, really a key component.
Yeah. Because it's just the three of you guys now in the business? Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Dustin.
Just the three of us, and then my dad is still coming in. We'll say semi-retired, right? He's here some of the time, and then travels some of the time. So
Hanging around, little rounders.
Hanging around. So how do you guys? There was a joke made earlier about the conference room. How are disagreements handled if there's kind of three of you really making the decisions here? Majority rules.
Wrestling match, or cage
Wrestling matches.
There's people in the industry that are willing to pay for a fundraiser just to watch us watch each other.
Brought up a couple times.
I'll convince William, and we will also donate to that cause. No, but I think, I mean, jewelry is such an interesting industry because a lot of it is like generational, right? There's so many people are coming in generation after generation, and just from my experience working with my family, my sisters or my dad, that was a decision that was not hard to make to get out of that business pretty quick because I saw it harming some of my relationships and the feelings and stuff I had. So how do you do that when there's really tough decisions that have to be made every day in business, like to continue to leave that at the door? I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, hey, once you're in here, it's only business, but like, how have you really created that type of culture between family?
So I think it's, you know, I hate to say it, but like athletic based, right? So we all played college football, right? When you step in those lines, you know everyone's trying to do their best, right? So we know each one of us has our name on the wall. At the end of the day, all of us want to make our name proud. So at the end of the day, we keep in mind that all of us are doing our best. It may not always be the best result, right? You know, someone doesn't block, someone doesn't do this. I mean, you can't just fire the guy and go off on him. you need them the next play. And I think that's kind of the mentality, that we keep at the forefront of. At the end of the day, we all want Down Bash Jewelers to be the best that it can. And, decisions are always, a 3-person vote. So luckily we do have an odd number.
And if you want to try something or do something, you bring the data and everybody looks at it and we say, hey, are we okay if this is a mistake? And, we give each other the freedom to, try new things and, try to be creative in our own categories that we work in. And we learn together and, I think all 3 of us are smart enough to know that, a lot of times we're not the smartest people in the world, and to find out who that person is and, get that information that we need.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Dan, I think you said something earlier. You guys kind of separated into a few different maybe roles or areas of the business. Obviously, at some point, you all kind of have to cover a little bit of each other, but it sounds like you guys kind of have some like lines or structure as far as like, this is my focus, this is mine. And then, I mean, you kind of probably just trust that the other person's doing the right thing for that zone since they're focused there.
Well, that definitely helps. And we're all very different personalities. So, like, we always joke around, and like people ask at the show, and the fastest way to describe it is, I'm the black line, so this is it, nothing. He is the white line. He will be carefree, patient, 0 patience here, and then Dustin is the gray line. He's somewhere in between that. So, if there's something that needs to be handled and the black line just should not be in the conference room, then I'm not in the conference room. Or if there's something that, a foot needs to be put down, then they'll bring me in and they'll let Donnie go. Dustin just happens to be the one constant because, he's the gray one, so he can float back and forth. Which brother do I need this time?
That literally plays perfectly after hanging out with you guys. Like, that is a perfect description. So if anyone wants to know who they are, that is exactly how it is working there.
So in between that and defined roles, I think it does make it easier. But our parents taught us right off the rip. When the bell rings, it's elbows up and have a beer.
Yeah. All right. What advice would you give to any other family businesses out there as far as like working with family, finding success in that? Because I mean, that's something that almost every single store probably is facing.
I think the biggest thing is just communication. You just have to you have to understand that, you're going to get asked hard questions. You're going to ask hard questions. But at the end of that, it's always for the best. And, if you can't be open and honest and work with each other, then it's not going to work out.
Yeah. Okay. I like it.
Well, that, and I would say just knowing where our industry's at, the generations have to plan and talk faster. Because God forbid if that would have been a different scenario, I think we would have been in an okay place if it happened to be both our parents. But that's the one thing that'll open your eyes when it even was just one. When one of the co-founders wasn't here, we didn't see as much of a gap because my mother decided she did what she wanted to do 10 years ago. And that's the only reason. That's why I say someone was looking out for us. Because if it would have been 10 years previous, I don't know that we would have been developed or felt trusted enough to do what we do now and make the decisions that we make now.
Yeah.
So I think it's more of a let go and let them grab would be my suggestion to the generations out there. Like, you're gonna have to let the young bucks like us make mistakes on our own, just the way they did. Just instead of them being $1 million mistakes, you can keep them at $10,000 mistakes. You don't have to learn the one that could put you out of business, but you got to learn them the hard way.
That is that's awesome. That's really great feedback, because I think the generational thing is very difficult. Working with stores, and I mean, I sell software, right? And so working with older generation to understand why software is important, not always the easiest thing. Well, I did this without software for 30 years, and it's like, that's awesome. That's not where we are anymore, and people change. And so, that's definitely, I think, a tough decision for a lot of people. And it's funny because I hear so many times where like a, son or daughter is taking over the business, and they say, yeah, but my mom or dad are still here, and they're still in the business. They're still trying to make decisions. And so it's interesting to say, like, how did you say it? Dan, you said let go and let grab.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what we deal with that, and it took my dad forever. It was a 3 year negotiation, and we're finally on our 3rd year. But 3 years ago, he had to know when we signed our paperwork on our transition that he no longer had decision making ability unless it was $250,000 or more. That was it. And he was not okay with that. There's still times when he asked me at the end of this past year, because we were fortunate enough to take care of a little bit of our debt, right? And he goes, well, why would we do that? And I'm like, because that was our decision. Like, it was us three that made the decision. We put it in. We said we're going to make this approach because the transition's happening in a year, and he didn't agree with it, but he had to let it go. And then after it was explained to him, he was like, that was a pretty good decision, boys. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, I know
Okay.
that
I love that.
a lot of
Go
people.
ahead, Dan.
Oh no, you're good. It's just a lot of people. We used to get terms, and you would pay in the rear. I mean, when he was able to do his magic and flip that, and now that we're able to do greater things, it's a totally different business than how the wholesale repair business was run, and that's
Yeah.
what they really do, and that's what we had to make them understand. There's a better way to get this done.
Yeah. No, it makes sense. And it's not an easy transition for them. Rightfully understood, right? Like, a lot of them built this off their own sweat and blood and tears, and so it makes sense that it's tough. Perfect. Well, this next part is my favorite. We're going to wrap up here in just a few minutes here, but I call this one hard truths and lessons. So there's a couple of different questions I want to ask, just like some of them are brutal truths, and I know that you guys are not afraid of speaking your mind, and so I'm excited, more excited for this one than I have for the past one. So what do most jewelers get wrong about growth?
I think it's what you said.
mine
Growth doesn't mean
mine would be the bottom line has to grow with the top line, and I do think there's plenty out there that get that wrong, like even on a month-to-month basis. Well, if you're not breaking down, like if you're really not getting in the weeds about, oh well, we had a $100,000 Rolex sale. Okay, well your gross revenue looked great. Yeah, we crushed last year by 30%. Well, then why is your P&L down 25? Like, so I think a lot of jewelers get that part wrong from what I see and hear.
Black line grows with the top line.
Right.
I like it. Anything else you guys would add?
I would say more just, willingness to know you're not the smartest person in the room, right? Well, being able to ask questions, to not be afraid to ask questions. I think that's probably one of our biggest strengths as a team, is knowing that there's always someone out there that's doing it better than you are, and you got to find them and pick their brain.
Yeah, I like it. Let's see.
One last thing.
Yeah.
What he said. A lot of our industry doesn't like to share either. Big mistake. How do you get nuggets if you're not willing to give up nuggets? Which blows my mind, because we're all independents. So we should be chasing Signet, right? Because they're the ones that own everything else. So, I mean, that's what you're chasing. And if we don't work together and learn from each other, it just takes us 4 times as long. So
Yeah.
I don't understand why, if you want to get nuggets, you gotta be able to give out your nuggets. You know what I mean? It's got to be a give and take.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people that don't like to do that.
100%. And it's interesting because some people kind of put on a front that they're willing to help on some of these Facebook groups, but when you really get down to like the nitty gritty of what's really moving the needle, I think in the business, it's kind of these like really some of these smaller shows I've noticed that I've been to, like for example, Leading Jewelers that we were at together. Like that's a much more intimate show than maybe some of these bigger shows, and getting to sit down and rub shoulders with some of these other stores that are also doing incredible things, and so being able to humble yourself, like you said, Dustin, right, and know that you're not the smartest person in the room, and then be able to really learn and share also what's working for you, I think that's huge. Definitely something that more people need to share and do. If you could go back, what's one thing you would do differently?
Go get one of us. Go get our GG earlier.
None of us really have to stand them out for school right now.
All right, that's good.
We all keep doing this and we just throw our hand on it.
That's right. You hire somebody around you that has their GG maybe or something.
Exactly.
So
It does make it a little harder when you see some of the gradings of GIA and we're like, we've been doing this so long, I think we're a little more accurate than what's on the piece of paper. So that makes it a little harder.
School of Hard Knocks instead.
Exactly.
Okay, I like it. Let's see.
Add one thing, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, please.
We'll make it personal again. I would probably say take more time with family for people that are in with the family business. You know, nobody knows when, you know, how long everybody's going to be here, and you know, to really stop for a minute every so often and cherish the moment of working with family, because not, you know, as you said, not a lot of people can do it, and just to take that breath and be thankful in those moments and really, you know, really let that just set in for sure.
No, I like that. I actually think let's kind of roll off of that one, if you don't mind, Donnie or Danny. The best advice your parents ever gave you, and we'll kind of bring it to a close here on this.
Sorry, language barrier on this one?
No language barrier.
My mother gave me a bumper sticker that said, "Don't be a dick."
So,
So for my personality, that might be some of the best advice.
I think that's probably really good advice for you.
you know, for me, it's, you know, just what I was touching base on as far as making everybody feel like family. You know, I can remember from the very first time in the store helping out, you know, just wrapping presents or taking the trash out. You know, take pride in what you do. The moment in the morning when you get up and you put your feet on the ground, you know, you have a choice to make, and you can choose to have the best day that you can, or you can choose to have the worst day that you can, and, you know, choose that great day and take pride in what you do.
I think mine's empathy goes a long way, right? There's always someone that has it worse. There's always someone that has it better. You know, taking that time to know that things could always be worse. It goes a long way when you're talking with customers or staff or anything like that. So,
Yeah, I like that. So just to kind of go back and reinforce some of the things from this episode, I took down a couple of notes. That growth is not always progress. Clarity beats scale. Family adds complexity, and it also adds strength. Story and meaning matter more than most, and the best businesses are built intentionally and not reactively, and to cherish the time that we get with those around us, because you never know when it could be the last time. Yeah.
good summary.
Yep.
Well, Basch Brothers, I appreciate all you guys. Donnie, Dan, Dustin, seriously, thank you so much for jumping on and joining us. This was a really powerful conversation. I was going to record this part after, but I think I'll just close it out here. But I think the biggest takeaway is that growth doesn't always means more. Sometimes it means getting a little more clear, a little more focused, building something that really aligns with who you are, which is exactly what you guys have built. Your story really is one, as a reminder that businesses aren't just built on strategy, but on values, on family, being willing to make hard decisions when things don't feel right. And what you guys have done to honor your mom through your brand is just really awesome. And again, appreciate you guys sharing that with us today. That's the kind of meaning that customers really feel. Like you mentioned, they come in the store sometimes will just start crying. They feel that, whether they can really articulate it or not. But if anyone listening got value from this episode, hopefully you did. You got some good takeaways. Share it with somebody in the industry who needs to hear it. But again, my name is Dylan Dove. This is Across the Case. We'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.
This life so short. No.